If you're anything like me, then winning Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments is a common occurrence for you. Now, I'm only kidding about that, of course, but nowadays I feel that it's gotten a bit too easy to show up to any tournament, play the best deck of the format, and walk away with a respectable top 4 placing or better. Although winning is fun, I wanted to put myself to the test and see how well I could do with the less common strategies in the game. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tcg Sam, and I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively for over 6 years now. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh content creator that makes content on the competitive side of the game, and in this series, I'm going to be challenging myself to win a tournament with pretty much anything except the best decks out there. I'll be adding in extra challenges to make it even more interesting for you to watch. Will I be able to outperform the best decks at these tournaments? Or have I just thrown away any hope I had of ever winning a tournament again? Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You've probably seen plenty of Traptrix videos like this out there, so I'm a bit late to the trend, but better late than never, I guess. In today's episode, we're going to be taking only 3 structure decks of the new Traptrix, 2 locals, and trying to win the tournament with that. It's probably one of the most competitive structure decks, like straight out of the box in recent history. And just going over like a quick profile in the background, you can see like the ratios I'm playing. There isn't too much room for innovation because there are only so many like really good cards that you can play straight out of the box. So a pretty standard list, but still a very powerful one nonetheless that can still set up some great boards. I will also mention, if you don't know how the Traptrix stuff works, then I've recently uploaded a Traptrix guide on my channel, which you can check out. It'll have information on like a sample deck list, how to beat the deck, and some of the general playstyle of the deck. But yeah, with that being said, we are taking this deck to locals. Hopefully we're going to be able to do well, and I'll take you guys along for the ride. So see you guys in the feature match. Alright, so getting into the feature match today, we got a unique one for you guys. It's going to be up against Tri-Brigade Sprite, and that's a deck that you probably won't see too often, but it's definitely really cool, so I wanted to feature it. And this was round 4, so it was the final round of Swiss. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to do our die roll and end up winning it, thankfully, so we are able to go first, which is very huge for us because this structure deck really does benefit a lot from going first and being able to set up their board. I'm going to normal summon Traptrix Pudica, and then unfortunately not be able to use the effect because we already have the Garden in our hand. Instead, we're going to summon our Rakdocantha, overlay the 2 for Pingicula, make the Traptrix Garden, and then link into our Traptrix Sarah. He's going to imperm our Myrmelio, but that's going to let us use both Traptrix Sarah's effects since a Traptrix monster's effect and a trap card was activated. So we're going to summon Mantis, and we're going to set a trap card directly. Next, I'm going to activate Trap Tantalizing Tune, discarding evenly to draw 2 cards. And I do apologize for this glare, I didn't realize it was this bad at the time, but yeah, we're going to end up summoning Rafflesia, setting another card, and passing it over to our opponent, which is pretty solid through an imperm. He's going to start things off with a copy of Fenrir, and I debate whether or not I should stop this. I did have prior information that he was actually not on Castira, but rather Tri-Brigade Sprite, so I decided not to Rafflesia Floodgate Trap Hole it right away, which I definitely would have done had I not known what he was playing, since I would have assumed that he'd probably be on Castira. But yeah, you can see this is confirmed when he does just add a copy of Fenrir. It is just a non-Castira deck when they do that. Thinking about what he wants to do next, since I assume he thought we would stop the Fenrir, so I think when he does move to battle phase, I am forced to get rid of the Fenrir because I don't want him to banish one of my cards face down. Terrifying Trap Hole, if you haven't seen the Traptrix guide already, can be thought of as a removal spell, which is really great. I'm going to end up setting a trap off of Sarah. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Holotea. But either way, our opponent's going to special summon Fenrir, special summon Keras next, discarding the Nerval. I'm going to activate my set Gravedigger's Trap Hole to negate the copy of Nerval. And then from here, I am then going to be able to special summon out a Pudica from Sarah's effect and be able to use that to attempt to banish the Keras so that he isn't able to link into a link to like Sprite Sprint. Opponent's going to chain his Fenrir to banish either our Garden or our Rafflesia face down since he can't target any of other of our Traptrix monsters. He's going to end up choosing the copy of Rafflesia to banish face down. It's totally fine. We already expended it, and Garden's going to be huge on the crackback. Opponent's going to normal summon Keras, link summon the 2 into a copy of Sprint, sending Angler, which I didn't expect, because now Angler grabs him 2 more level 2s, and which are Beast. So they're great extenders in this deck especially. Opponent's going to activate the effective sprite, gigantic sprite. I'm gonna chain Holotay just so I can get it out onto the board, since otherwise I wouldn't be able to later on in the turn. Opponent's gonna resolve the copy of gigantic, and he's gonna be able to summon out a level 2 from his deck, summoning out Kit, then linking the 2 off for a copy of IP Masquerena, activating the Kit effect to be able to banish to summon a Link 2 from his extra deck, so that's either Double Dragon Lords if he wants Disruption, or Fairjit or Bearbrum if he wants like extension into Tri-Brigade Engine. He's going to end up going for the copy of Bearbrum, so he's going to be able to have access to Revolt on our turn. Makes the copy of Pit Knight early, which is really good in this case, because anytime something points to it activates, it essentially becomes like an imperm. It just negates something, and that's really great with IP Masquerena. He's going to end off with a copy of Revolt, Masquerena, and Pit Knight early. This through our entire board was pretty impressive, but luckily we do have quite a bit of follow-up here already on the board, but also in our hand. So we're going to start things off by thinking how I'm going to be able to deal with the Masquerena and the Pit Knight early while having the while having Revolt to protect it. I'm going to start things off by banishing Pudica with Garden to summon back Mermelio, just to attempt to force out his Revolt right now, but instead he chooses to use IP and use Pit Knight as well to negate my Mermelio, and then go into a copy of Appaloosa. So that's going to be kind of annoying for us to deal with. He's going to let the Sarah effect go through, but from here we're in a weird spot since this Appaloosa is decently big, and he's going to be able to negate us, prevent us from going any further, and it has protection from Revolt. But luckily, a friend was nice enough to lend us Time Thief Redoer, so we are able to use Redoer here with a trap attached to force out the Appaloosa, as well as use the Traptrix Trapple Nightmare we set last turn. So I know before you guys say anything, like, yeah, Redoer's a 50-cent card, so get over it. But either way, we're going to use the Redoer and the Traptrix Trapple Nightmare to get rid of the Appaloosa. It should be back in the extra deck because of Redoer's effect, but regardless, the end result's still the same. Since we did activate Trapple, I'm going to use Sarah to summon out Dionea, and then use my additional normal on our Dionea to bring back Mermelio and force out his Revolt right now. He's going to activate the Revolt, of course, summoning everything out into a copy of Sure Egg, and using the effect of his Sure Egg to banish one of the cards on our field, as well as Nerval to be able to search. It's not really going to matter because as long as we clear the Sure Egg, he's pretty much not going to get another turn. We do have a lot of monsters on the board, and that's one of the things with Traptrix. Once you get a lot of bodies on the board, it's not just a control deck. You can actually start pumping out lots of offensive pressure and through its rank force as well as link summons. So I guess I'll just show you what I mean. He ends up banishing our Terrifying Trapple Nightmare, but like I said, it didn't really matter since we had Holotea. Bring back Pudica, banish his monster. I'm going to use my regular normal summon on Mantis, summon out Arachnid Campo, link summon everything into Adipus, and that's just going to be enough for game. So we do take down game 1. Luckily, he was able to go first and break through his board going second, which I guess just goes to show how powerful traps can be, even on the crackback. As long as we don't die, like if our board is set up in a way with like Garden, Sarah on the board, we're just able to get so much advantage. It's so hard for any opponent to deal with. So we're going to move on to side decking. Of course, I'm expecting to go second, and that's sort of one of the weaknesses with the deck. You don't really have many in-engine ways to go second, so you're relying on drawing and seeing those non-engine cards. So hopefully we're able to do that. I remember sliding into a couple of Kaijus, and I believe a copy of Feather Duster, took out a couple of my trap holes as well, and I took out a Pudica, which is actually going to matter a lot in the future, but I guess you guys will see what I mean in a bit. But yeah, we end up finish shuffling, and we are going second, of course. Our opponent's going to kick things off with a copy of, I believe, Tri-Brigade Kit, special summoning Jet. Jet's going to be able to add a Sprite Double Cross. It's a pretty solid interruption as long as he has a rank 2 or link 2 on the board. He's then going to link the 2 off for a copy of Sprint, activating both Kit and Sprint. So he's going to send Angler and a copy of Nerval. So Angler's going to summon out 2 Beavers. Nerval's going to be able to add a copy of Karas for extension. And then from here, he's going to be able to continue with both his Tri-Brigade and his Sprite plays. He's gonna start with a copy of Gigantic Sprite, and we don't have the Ash Blossom, so we're not able to stop it this time. Opponent's gonna summon out a copy of Kit, and then from there link off the Beaver and the Sprite into a copy of Masquerena. And then from here, he is going to choose to activate the Kit, banishing 2 from his graveyard, and then being able to summon out a copy of Bearbrum, linking the 2 off for a copy of Fairjit, and that's going to trigger Bearbrum to put it grab something and put something at the bottom of his deck. I believe he was actually locked into Traptricks, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I played with like the Traptricks cards, so I don't think he was able to do that after resolving Revolt, but I could be mistaken. But either way, like both of us don't catch it, so it's kind of like my fault as well. You'll see that even though this makes a huge difference in terms of what he's able to end on, it doesn't matter. We have a Kaiju for his IP Masquerena, and then we hit him with a good old Raigeki. So Kaiju Raigeki going second is definitely one of the better combos the deck has at potentially breaking boards. And from there, we're going to be able to activate Trap Tantalizing Tune, discarding Dianea to attempt to draw 2 cards, which goes through, thankfully. This was one of the big choke points in the budget deck if that gets ashed, since you just lose out on so much card advantage. But luckily, we're able to resolve it to successfully draw 2. I think about what I want to do here, since I know he has a copy of Revolt set, it's going to be difficult for me to stick a Sarah on the board. So I decided to normal summon Dianea and special summon Dianea back. This way, like, no matter what, I can at least get a Sarah on the board, even if he banishes one of my monsters. That's exactly what he's about to do. He's going to link summon, summon 4 back, and then link summon into a copy of Shureg. That's gonna resolve like his Farigid, his Nerval, and his Shureg to get some card advantage, some draws, and advantage from my side of the field. He's gonna end up going after one of the Dianeas, and then from here, I believe I saw I had a copy of Arachno Campa. So worst case scenario, we still have access to a Traptrix rank 4 if we really want to. So while he decides to on like what to put back as well as what to banish, I'm thinking like what I can actually do to progress my plays. Like I don't necessarily have to out this Shureg on my turn. Rather, I can set up a bunch of cards and gain advantage off of Sarah. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to special summon the Arachno Campa and link some, and then trigger Sarah to set a copy of Holotea. I'm gonna activate the Holotea on his normal summon of Karas, and that's hopefully going to be enough, because that's like the only disruption we have. Putica is going to banish the Karas, and then Sarah is going to be able to set a trap hole from our deck. Another copy of Holotea. The reason I do that is because I think the other trap holes just aren't going to help us here. I want to be as proactive as possible. Thankfully, that's somehow enough to stop our opponent in his tracks for the turn, so he just goes battle phase and kills our Sarah. So that's another card, passes it over to us. Gonna start things off with a copy of Dimensional Barrier, calling XYZs, which is actually fine since we already have bodies on board. We're going to be able to, he's going to actually summon off of Putica in the standby phase. Just a reminder, this isn't like mandatory, so if your opponent forgets, like that's on them. But I remind him here since like we are just playing out of locals after all. He's going to end up banishing my Putica off of the effective Shureg, and then from there, I'm going to kick things off by link summoning a Sarah, normaling Myrmelio, and then from there just popping off with like our Traptrix combo. Holotea is going to be a discard card. Just summon itself out, special summon Myrmelio. Myrmelio is going to pop his Sprite Double Cross that it has been dead for a while now. And from there, I forget I have a Putica in my hand, so I definitely should just normal summon the Putica first. But yeah, you can see that mistake's actually going to hurt a lot later on since we don't have access to another Putica in our deck. Next up, we're going to use Adipus to out the copy of Shureg, so we just need to get that big body off the board and start attacking with our monsters. From there, I'm able to set the copy of Floodgate Trapple that I added to my hand off of the Myrmelio, and then also just turn the copy of Myrmelio on the board into another copy of Sarah, just in case, and then set the copy of Floodgate Trapple and pass it over to our opponent. So once again, he's gonna forget to Putica summon back, or sorry, not Putica summon back, but he's gonna start off with the copy of Feather Duster. Thankfully, we do have Arachno Campa in our hand, so we're able to protect our set cards this time. He's gonna normal summon Beaver and not use his effect, and I think this was really weird, so I decided to let it go through. And I'm thinking what he can do with just normal summon Beaver and whether or not I should floodgate it. I decided to let it go. He special summons Carrot, and this is a misplay from my part. There's no reason for me to floodgate here. I could just wait for him to summon like an XYZ monster, because now if he just negates off of Carrot, I thought I had a Putica in deck because I was like, oh, I can just Putica like summon itself, banish Carrot, and you can see that's actually going to cost this because he has a Sprite Blue in his hand. So definitely a really big misplay on our part for just not getting the Putica into the graveyard and siding out the third copy of one. So lesson learned, don't side it out. Otherwise your opponent's going to start popping off like this. But he's going to just go through his regular sprite plays and think about how he's going to try to break my board. Remember, we still have a copy of Floodgate Trapple set, and we do have Terrifying Trapple Nightmare as well to potentially stop any big plays from happening. Opponent's going to summon Gigantic Sprite. I just Holotea summon itself. Sorry, we don't have Floodgate Trapple. But either way, time has been called, and since we are up in life, we are able to take that down. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to my matchups for this tournament. So I wasn't too sure what to expect when taking 3 structure decks to locals, but things went a lot better than I could have hoped for. Round 1 we get paired up against Evil Twin Sprite and lose game 1 unfortunately, despite getting to go first, since we just don't open that great of a hand and we aren't able to stop all of his extenders. Game 2, however, goes a lot better for us. We're able to set up a board of like Rafflesia, a bunch of back row, and a copy of Arachnocampa in our hand to protect it against this Lightning Storm, meaning all our back row is safe, and our opponent just can't play through the board, so we were able to win that one. Game 3 is a little unfortunate. Our opponent goes first, and we're actually sort of able to crack through the board with like cards like Raigeki and Kaijus, but at the end, at a critical time, our Trap Tantalizing Tune gets ashed, and it's just so unfortunate because that card is very high risk, high reward, and unfortunately this time, it cost us the match since we just didn't have enough cards to play through after that. So we do end up losing round 1. Round 2, I played against the branded Despia. We were able to take that one down 2-0. Not too much to say about that matchup. Round 3, we played against a Traptrix mirror, except they were actually on like the full power version of Traptrix, and honestly, it was a nightmare to play. All your traps just don't do anything, and it's just so difficult for you to really be able to outpace your opponent with just the structure decks, especially since you don't have access to staples like Zeus, for example. So that's why our games were like always very, very close. I managed to barely win like the third one with like Kaijus and Raigeki once again. That's probably the best board breaking combo this deck has, but still, like, it was a very difficult matchup and very hard for the 3 structure decks to actually win. And then, of course, in the last round, we played against Traptrix Sprite, which you saw that we won 2-0. So overall, we end with a record of 3-1, pretty solid and respectable for a structure deck. Our tiebreakers weren't the best, so we only get 6th place, but still, nonetheless, a pretty good showing for just 3 structure decks. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. Once again, if you haven't checked out the Traptrix guide, you'll have a better idea of how to play the deck and how to beat it. It's already up on my channel. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.